Previously on Battle 360, for the third time in nearly 3 months, Enterprise squared off against the Japanese Navy in the climax of the Battle of Guadalcanal. Now, Enterprise is refitted with new weapons, new planes, and gets ready to fight a new kind of warfare. The Big E will deliver a blitzkrieg in the Gilbert Islands of the Central Pacific, and in the dark of night, she will make naval history. USS Enterprise, a fighting city of steel. She is the most revered and decorated ship of World War II. On this 360-degree battlefield, where threats loom on the seas, in the skies, and in the ocean depths, the Enterprise's enemies could be anywhere and everywhere. There's nowhere to run when the battle's all around you. Battle 360, USS Enterprise, the Grey Ghost. This series is brought to you with limited commercials by the men and women of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. January 29th, 1943. USS Enterprise, cruiser San Diego, and 5 destroyers are headed for an expected showdown with the Imperial fleet near the Coral Sea. By now, the mighty Enterprise has many nicknames. Most call her the Big E, or Lucky E, but many sailors call her the Galloping Ghost, or simply, the Grey Ghost. In a year of combat, from the coast of Oahu to the shores of Guadalcanal, the dark gray ship has eluded death and destruction and continues to haunt the Imperial Navy. But the battle-tested crew of Enterprise has no idea the tragedy is about to strike the U.S. fleet. 350 miles away, a force of cruisers and destroyers heads for Guadalcanal, escorting American transports loaded with much-needed reinforcements. More ground troops are needed on the island battlefield, and it's the job of these ships to get them there. One of them is heavy cruiser USS Chicago. Chicago, sister to the old Northampton, which had fought beside the Enterprise throughout 1942, is led by a squadron of 6 destroyers, spread out in a giant half-circle. Steaming at a steady 24 knots, Chicago and the transport force are 150 shark-infested nautical miles directly southeast of Guadalcanal. Chicago has already survived one hellish attack this night by enemy aircraft. But the waters of the Solomon Islands are still a nightmare. Sailors know that being in the wrong place at the wrong time can have deadly consequences. And right now, Chicago is heading toward disaster she can't even see. Beneath the waves, Chicago is stalked by Japanese submarines. From above the clouds, she is hunted by enemy planes. Though the Japanese have been badly bloodied in Pacific Sea battles, they're about to show the U.S. Navy that they're nowhere close to being beaten. Like a jungle predator, the enemy prepares to strike in the dark of night. Because of the costly actions at Midway and Guadalcanal, Japan simply lacks the manpower and firepower to launch daytime attacks against the U.S. fleet.
They've trained a number of their ground-based medium bomber units in night torpedo attacks, and they come gunning for the American cruiser support force.
7:45 p.m. Flashes of light illuminate the American ships like a lightning storm. Japanese flares burst in the skies over the water. Suddenly, 16 twin-engine Bettys pour out of the sky. One Betty is chewed up by automatic fire and sent crashing into the sea. The rest charge in from the starboard side and head for Chicago with a payload of aerial torpedoes. Chicago cuts loose with an eruption of fire from her 5-inch guns and machine guns. But her own bright tracers and the fireballs of exploding aircraft only expose the cruiser to the enemy.
You're basically saying to the enemy, hey, I'm this guy with the big guns.
She is now the perfect target. 2 torpedoes nail her starboard side. Chicago grinds to a halt. She instantly takes on water and starts to list at the stern. Her situation is desperate. As the wave of Bettys tears off into the silver clouds, sailors aboard Chicago know that their battle is only just beginning.
During the pitch blackness then, the cruiser Louisville comes up and is able to put a towing line across, which is a tricky thing to do in the middle of the night with no illumination. And they begin to drag Chicago out of the battle area.
A 2.5-inch steel towing wire is wrapped around a massive 8-inch turret on the cruiser Louisville and attached to the bow of the Chicago. Slowly, Louisville tows her sister frigate at a steady 5 knots away from the battle area. 350 miles away, USS Enterprise is ordered to take to the seas and support the rescue effort. Target: enemy aircraft attacking USS Chicago. Objective: save the wounded heavy cruiser. Strategy: send planes to fly protection over USS Chicago until she can be towed from the battlefield. Throughout the night, Enterprise plows ahead, while her pilots and air crews prepare for the dangerous operation. January 30th, 1943. As the sun rises over the Solomon Sea, warplanes roll down Enterprise's wooden deck and take off in search of the crippled USS Chicago. Just after 7 a.m., Enterprise SBDs locate Chicago and her task force.
Well, she just couldn't get underway, so she was being towed by another ship at about 4 knots, just barely getting underway.
So they can't go very fast, they can't maneuver, so they're definitely sitting ducks. They just got to rely on the support around them to survive that.
It's a haunting replay of attempts to save USS Hornet at Santa Cruz. Enterprise's sister ship, Hornet, was crippled by torpedoes in the October battle. Before she could be towed to safety, she was finished off by another round of warheads. If the Japanese return, Chicago will provide an inviting target.
For a surface ship, they have basically 2 non-offensive weapons at their disposal. 1 is speed, 2 is maneuverability. When you go in, attach a tow line to a disabled ship, and try to pull her to safety, you've just given up speed and you've given up maneuverability. So you've made yourself pretty predictable.
Enterprise's warplanes carefully patrol the air over the damaged cruiser, on the lookout for enemy intruders. At the same time, the fleet tug Navajo comes alongside Chicago and takes over the task of pulling the heavy ship. Tugs like Navajo are unsung heroes. Named after the native people of the desert Southwest, Navajo is 1,200 tons of workhorse. Armed only with a single 3-inch gun and 2 50-caliber machine guns, the little 200-foot ship sticks her neck out for cruiser Chicago. Tense hours pass as Enterprise pilots watch the rescue operation unfold. For the moment, the skies are clear. Not a single enemy plane or ship in sight. 4 p.m. Enterprise receives warnings from Guadalcanal. 11 unidentified aircraft. Distance, 130 miles. Everyone goes to general quarters, mans his gun or repair station. Ammo is broken out of lockers. Gunners' mates put on helmets and life jackets. Below decks, watertight doors are shut.